Hello and welcome to my channel on human design. Well, we've got a lot of very juicy questions to examine today, and let's get straight on with it. Okay, so the first question is from the host of Seraphim. I would like to share my experience as a 6/2 emotional projector navigating third line life so far. It's not just hard, it feels crushing at times. I have well over 10 years until my Saturn, so I have been working on letting go from the expectations that I place on myself about the way I should be progressing in my HD journey. Good. I know third line time is powerful, and I had to laugh when I heard Ra describe 6/2s as the good to die young ones, so to speak. Yeah, he was a great comedian, eh? Human design for me has been an on-off experience for years. I get overwhelmed by ambition 1 minute, and the next I have no energy to execute it. On top of that, my schedule, in this case relating school, requires me to work, which can even mean being in others' auras exceedingly, or simply being present and taking things in, since I'm receptive, for hours on end until I feel exhausted and come home to 3 ramped up generators. It takes a toll on my body. So studying HD has been more challenging than liberating, especially when it's not getting integrated cellularly. Any words of encouragement outside of the reminder that this period is temporary would be greatly appreciated. Okay, host of Seraphim. Yeah, it is not easy for projectors at this time. And we live in a material world, and we live with, the vast homogenized masses not knowing what a projector is or a generator or any of it. We're treated all the same, and we're expected to keep up to the same level of generating energy, which of course you can't. So I really understand, I really get the exhaustion. It's something that comes up again and again. Now, the question there is, first of all, to look and see what a projector is. You're a guide. You're a guide. It's like the guiding of energy types. So think about who you know that has energy, who is aligned with what you want to do. The first thing is you're here to shine. You're here to have the life. You're not here to work all the time, but you are here to guide the doing of those that do. And you can either be trapped in the homogenized cycle and go, well, I've got to do this because I've got to earn money. I've got to, be in the trap that they put you in, or you can jump out of it. And the jumping out of it is really to see that you're a guide, to really understand that it isn't your job to be doing all the time. And having got to that point, how do you get out of it? Let me give you an example. I'm working with a really smart projector at the moment who basically gets amazing things done because he has studied his system, and projectors are system beings. So he studied his system. In this case, he's building this app for me, but he's the manager, which is a great place for the projector to be. And he understands what needs to be done, and he also understands who can do it. Even if he doesn't have those people on the staff, he brings them in. Doing needs done. Who's going to do it the best and the quickest? He brings them in. So as a manager, he is brilliant. It means that he's got to keep an eye on everything, but that's in his nature. And he loves what he does, which is also very good. In fact, primary. So the doing gets done, he gets paid, they get paid, everyone's happy, I'm happy, the job is great. He does his job well. And his job is basically to get to guide the doing. So there's 2 things in there. One, you're a system creature. So what system or what area in life that can be systemized, where you can see the patterns, or when you can grasp the totality of what it is and then guide people into that. You know what it's like to see generators wasting energy doing this, that, and the other, and wasting their life away doing unproductive things. You know, it's one of the things that you have every right to be bitter about, but you don't have to be caught in it. You don't have to be caught in it. When you're around a lot of generator energy, and I understand during your work you can't avoid that at this time, and it will take you time to to recover from taking in all that energy, definitely. And you know that. So knowing that, you know, you need to then think about, well, what's a smarter way of playing the game? Is there a way that I can do more online? Is there a way, or get it done in another way? Is it a way that I can train people to do what I'm doing so I don't have to do it? And more importantly, what is the work that you really love to be involved in? What is the what do you want to guide? What's your repertoire? What are you moved to go into? I really do think there's been too much emphasis on projectors waiting for the formal invitation. You know, an invitation is something that is in alignment with you, and a door is opening for you to walk through easily. It doesn't have to be someone saying, would you like to? So I want to say that. And shifts can happen. So I know a musician projector, you know, who wasn't really earning much in her, you know, she loves to play the harp. She's a really talented musician, but she was also not keeping up with the material demands of the life. And she tried and she tried, and it just, you know, it's just not possible in the area where she is. Now she's doing crypto. Now she's shifted completely into something else where she can get a grasp of the system and make money sitting at home and not having to work too much. I'm not saying crypto is for everyone. And I'm not saying that that is the ideal projector way, but it's an example. So look at the systems. Now, human design is a wonderful system. And of course, as you say, you're too exhausted to study it. And it's been dragging on because you don't have the energy to do it. So something has to give, you know, something has to give. You have to claim back more time. You have to get some space for yourself. A mental projector I know who has only got the channel of logic, no motors at all, nothing. And she's very successful. And when asked, how the hell do you do it? She said, you have to be ruthless. You know, there is a desperation in the projector when they're running out of energy or they've run out of energy. And there is a ruthlessness needed in order to make sure that doesn't happen one way or another. You know, you have your own inner authority. You know that the way that you're living doesn't work. Okay, so what's another way? Now, I don't know the full, this is something I would go to in a reading, and we'd really look at all the details, which I can't do here. But the most important thing is you don't give up. The most important thing is that you don't, you know, use the human design knowledge to say, well, I'm a projector, you know, I'm always going to be exhausted. No, you don't have to be trapped. There's a lot of things that will trap us. Look at the youth and the video games that have stolen their lives away, you know, on something that is exciting and addictive and non-productive in their own lives. It's a terrible thing, I think. And yet, you know, it's a great game, but if you get locked into it, it becomes a trap. You can get locked into doing in the same way that you're doing and expecting that to work. I know you don't, but it's a trap. So you have to be ruthless. You have to be aligned to what is correct for you. The invitation comes through the appeal of the system, that you really enjoy, you know, its components and what it can say and what it can reveal to people. Get good at it. Get good at it. The I Ching can be seen in the gates in the centers, but whether you have the gates in the centers or not, it is a wisdom path. And so when you look at any part of it, like the 46-1 being discovered, you know, those people that really are into their thing sooner or later are discovered. because of the depth of it, because of the love of it, because of the beauty that it brings, or whatever it may be, the nourishment that it brings. You know, they're in it for a reason, and sooner or later, people will find them. You know, the thing is not to hurry, not to get caught up in the anxiety and the worry of it. You know, one has to find an escape route. One has to find a balanced way of living through it, and it isn't easy. Okay, but you can do it. I know people that have done it in one way or another. Okay, thank you for the question. Thank you. And another question from Charliza74 on a similar topic for projectors. Thank you, Richard. On the subject of work, if only us non-sacrals could sustain ourselves by working only 2 days per week. Unfortunately, the world isn't set up for us, unless financially very fortunate. Many of us have no choice but to work in full-time roles that exhaust us, just to pay the bills. The struggle is real for the burnt-out projector. Yeah, it's easy to understand that the world isn't built for projectors. You have to find a way. The doors will open up for you. Do not submit to the homogenized understanding that we all have to work 5 days a week. Don't get caught into the homogenized view that we have to work full time in order to pay the bills. It is true at a certain level, but at another level, it isn't true. And it's getting to that other level. It's seeing what the doors are that open up to you at that level, where you can be in more of a managerial role, where you can be more in a guide role, in a supervisor role, in someone that goes in to check things, sees what's wrong, tells them what they need to do, and goes away again. And you get paid more for that than you do actually doing, you know, getting in there and getting your hands dirty. You get paid much more. That's the level you want to get to, one way or another. I mean, you can see the way energy moves. You can understand what can be done, even though it's not being done. It's in your nature. You have to find a way to shift level. Do not give up. Do not bend to this normal way of living life. You're here for the life. You're not here for the work. Find a way. Who do you know? Look and see the examples of people you don't know who have done it. Research it. Go into it. You'll find a way. It is possible. Don't buy the slave routine. It doesn't work. Right. The next question is from Cam Viz for you. And that question is on cognition. Hi, Richard. I have a question about my determination variable, or digestion type in human design, as it's often referred to. It's actually the dietary regime. Anyway, my determination is calm touch. I've done a lot of reading on this variable and pretty much understand the calm part of it. You must be relaxed, calm, quiet, and sitting still while eating. But what I don't really see being explained anywhere in terms of HD resources is the touch part of the equation. How does touch work for a calm touch determination? What role does touch play in eating calmly? I'd love it if you could shed some light on this mystery for me. Okay, Cam, so touch is literally touch, and it's a cognition. We can apply it in eating by using our hands, by cooking. A lot of people that have touch as a cognition love to cook, to get their hands in the food. You know, they enjoy going out and feeding the vegetables and feeling if it's the right quality of vegetable for them. They can know that. It's a cognition. It's the same reason that you're going to have, you know, really nice jumpers and things that feel good when you touch them, and in your soft furnishings and everything. Yeah, touch is really important to you. You know that. You can see that. It's not just in the food. So it's basically using your hands. It's getting your hands in the food in some way. And in some societies, that's very normal. And in others, it's not. But for you, that's the way it is. And then you can really, the body opens up to it. Your cognition will, if it's right, if the touch is right, it'll open up. Now, of course, if you're eating hot food, it's not so easy. But there are other things that you can be involved in terms of the preparation for the food. Okay, well, that's my quick overview of it. I hope that's helpful and shed some light on the mystery. Thank you for the question. Now, of course, the mention of 2027 in the last video and the video before has brought in more questions about it and concerns and anxieties and questions. So I am going to go back into it again now, and a question from Carlisnia. I'm a 6'2" that goes up on the roof in 2019. I have the 19th gate 4 times. When the mutation comes, the 1949 will break apart and the channel will change for those that will come later. So the need for resources and territory will change for most of humanity. I obviously feel a great need for those things. My dream is to be self-sufficient and thrive from the land with the people I love, to have the land and the resources to find this peaceful place. Yeah, absolutely. So the question is really, how does the movement of finding the place and resources will change post 2027? Does it mean less competition in looking for territory, or the opposite? The new individual era will bring further competition for the resources, as people won't be as collective and focus more on their individual needs. I'm also taking into account that being a 6th line being entering a 6th line era, I have the 6th line 8 times. This change feels positive to me now in the beginning of my second 7-year cycle in HD. I also find amusing how soon me and a lot of other people will be those needy beings that will bring to the world that old energy that will be different in those that are born later. As my husband says, we're team humans. Well, these are the questions. What is it going to be like in the future? And I can think of various scenarios. And to live peaceably in the natural world with those that you love is indeed a beautiful, beautiful vision. And I share that with you. But I am a 1-3, and I have seen many different communities fail because the people end up arguing and fractions occur and power trips take place and all the rest of it. So it's important to understand that the knowledge of human design is something where people can see the difference in the others, and the expectation that they do what you can do is not valid. Actually knowing who the other people are and knowing who you are will make all the difference. Now, Ra spoke about the future in a time when people wouldn't know all the little details. We know that's going out of the world. So yeah, I'm trying to leave a record of some of those little details in lots of different ways in my work. But the point is, most people will not have access to it. But there will be a simplified understanding that will still be in the world. The understanding of types, the understanding of profiles, the understanding of centers. So even that itself makes a massive difference in us being able to live together, in a correct way. So I'm very hopeful about that too. Now, regarding the resources, the other day, a friend recommended a film for me to watch that blew my mind. Such an amazing thing. I mean, such an amazing thing. Talk about bringing hope to me. It was like, what? Someone's actually done it. I love discovering these things. So I'm going to share it with you. In terms of limited resources and land and territory, there's a number of different scenarios that are going to play out all over the world. So I can't talk generally about that. You must look after your own sphere of influence, and make sure that your sphere of influence and the people around you are, steadfast, are linked in that same endeavor with you. And then you can get through it, whatever it is, wherever you have to move to. But the land has been ruined. The land has been ruined for many years. And, and it can all seem very hopeless. And the story in this film, and the film is called Wilding. And the DVD has a picture of a stag on the front cover. And the video, I think, has a picture of a few piglets on the cover. So the story is basically this. There's an inheritance. So there were big farming family, and one of the sons is given the task of farming, and that's his job. Now, you're going to be the farmer of this place. And the land is barren, and agrochemicals and all kinds of things have been churning and destroying the topsoil, and, hopeless. The father said to the son, "You're never going to make it work. The land is too barren." So these astonishing people had the vision to bring in some people who knew about nature, and they bring in a tree guy. Someone from, I think it was from Devon, actually, who specializes in trees. And old guy, and he goes and he touches the bark of this big tree in the middle of this landscape of earth that they farm around. And he said, "This tree will die. The interconnection between everything has been lost. It's not going to survive. All the root systems, all the nourishments, all the connections underneath, they're not there." And they kept looking, and they found someone in, I think it was in Holland, who came across and explained to them the necessity of bringing the life back by bringing in the big animals. What? Yeah, bring in the ancient pigs, bring in the deer, bring in the big animals, like we used to have in the past, and let it be wild and see what happens. Now, this was, quite a risk. They sold their farming equipment. It was like, whoa, a completely different way to go, not knowing what would happen, never been done before. The scientific advice was, it's going to take 100 years for the soil to come back. You're wasting your time. This is ridiculous. But they did it anyway. They brought in the bigger animals. And after, I think it was about 8 years of government delay, they managed to get in a couple of otters that changed the whole landscape. So it's a film where you see the nature come back and bring fertility in a barren land back to life. And when you see what that looks like, it's in our ancient memories to recognize, yeah, yes, it feels so good to see it. And these people have done it. So I want to bring that hope back to you as well, because it's based on fact. You can see the film yourself. I advise you to. I think you can rent it on Amazon for about $3.49. It's worth it. It's worth it. It shows the power of nature, and it will nourish your soul. And if that starts happening, as things begin to break down and people can't farm, or the government gets involved, and I don't know what they're going to be doing, but basically, at some point, land will be left and land will be reclaimed. And these places that you yearn for that do not exist in the quantity they should will become more numerous. That's what I see. That's what I see. And yes, there's going to be a lot less people, which makes it even more likely that there will be more land, and fertile land eventually. The understanding of these things will become more common because it will be necessary. If you add human design to that, you've got a pretty good recipe for paradise, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but stay with the program and watch the video, and then you'll see what I mean. And if it touches you the way it touched me, you've got every reason to be hopeful. And something else about the discovery of this incredible experiment was that the wild animals, these were wild horses, wild cows, they didn't feed them. They had to fend for themselves. They didn't feed the pigs. They had to fend for themselves. It was innate in them. They were wild. They were all wild. They remained wild. And that wildness came out in the way that they nurtured their young, the way they got through the winter, the way they did find ways to feed themselves. And their individual character of the wildness came out in a way you don't see it in domesticated animals. That was amazing to see. There was one little snippet where there's a racehorse on one side of the fence from farmers on the other side, you know, very expensive racehorse. On the other side, there are these wild horses, you know, and that you can see in the eyes of the racehorse, you know, in awe of the wildness that they haven't got in them, seeing through the fence. I mean, it's an incredible look. Now, this is where connection comes back. I love it. Anyway, that's my recommendation. Have a look. Thank you for the question. And a question from Histy5688, again, about the 2027. I was wondering about the 2027 changes. I've heard that motor function of the solar plexus will fall away. What will the impact of that be on manifestors currently alive with the solar plex throat connection? Will they no longer have access to the solar plexus and motor? What will the impact be for babies born after 2027? Will we be able to pull their charts? Will babies with the connection from the solar plex to the throat still be manifestors? Or will those channels no longer be manifesting channels? That's a good question. I hadn't really thought about that before. So thank you. Thank you for the question. Look, if the manifestors would no longer be manifestors after 2027, I think Ra would have said something about it. I am sure he would have said something about it. So my understanding is that it's not about, and he's never said anything about it, ever, that I've heard. And I've heard, I think, everything. I think it's a misunderstanding that the motor energy will fall away. It will not be as chaotic as it is now. This is my understanding. But the power will still be there. The awareness will become primary, but the motor will still be there. So no, manifestors will still be manifestors, even if they're born after 2027. That's my view. It is what it is, after all. It's both. Thanks for the question. And the final question from Dove News, another projector question. Dear Richard, I am a 2-4 projector actively studying systems to guide people with while waiting for invitations. I know that networking is crucial for people with a 2-4 profile. What I don't understand is how can I build a network of people from whom I will receive invitations? As a projector, I'm supposed to not initiate conversations and need to wait for others to come to me. When I try to get myself out of my cozy hermit mode and go to events where I was not invited and no one comes to talk to me, I feel drained and sometimes bitter. If I try to start a conversation or reach out to someone online without them recognizing me first, it doesn't feel correct. But sometimes my mind pushes me to do something to initiate because it doesn't believe that correct people will come if I don't initiate. My mind doesn't want me to waste time or miss opportunities by waiting. Also, would you say that dating apps are not correct for fourth-line people because the correct relationship should come from the network? Well, Dove News, it is a question that has come up in different times. Yes, your network is what provides the opportunity to you as a 2-4 projector. But what about your network? If you're not getting the invitations from your network, what is your network? Who do you know? Who are you friends with? Who do they know? Are you being invited to meet some of their friends that you do not know initially? And if not, you know, maybe you're in the wrong place. You know, place matters quite a lot. You know, if you're trying to build a network in the wrong place, you're going to be around the wrong people. So it's something to think about in your own life. If it's not working for you where you are, something has to shift. The network that you have is not sufficient because it's not giving you the invitations that you need. The doors are not opening. So if you let the doors open within you in the things that really catch your attention, that you really love, you will end up going to places where there will be people that also love it or know about it and want to talk about it. You know, you wait for the moment when they will bring you into the conversation, or there will be a pause where you then can speak. You know, it's correct that you do wait for that in terms of conversation. One of the worst things is projectors going up and immediately starting speaking and really being quite annoying because they interrupt or they try to initiate. It doesn't bring a good energy. It brings a dissonant energy. So you need to back away from that kind of behavior, no matter what your mind is saying. I don't care what your mind says, and you shouldn't care what your mind says for you. You know, it really shouldn't. It's like, yes, your mind is saying that. So what? You know, what's the moment? What's going on with you and the people around you? Are you feeling comfortable in that place? Is it kind of your place to be? Or is it a very alien place and the people there are not your kindred spirits? You need to look and see who's around you and be prepared for a move. If you can see it, when we glean something in this life and we really get it, the universe kind of moves to that. You suddenly know that this is possible when you didn't know before. So if it's not working down here, look wider, think bigger, and see what opportunities come from that. You know, it could be something that a friend says about something they've heard of. It doesn't mean, would you like to come with me? You say, hey, I've just heard about this. And you look into it and you go, wow, this is something for me. You know, it's like that. And I can't really go deep with you on it because I don't know your chart apart from the profile. But in all fourth lines lives, there can be a change in the network. You know, weeding out those that haven't been opportunities for you, seeing who's left. If it's not being productive for you, you don't have a functional network for you. And you may consider how you got to know the people that you call friends in your network, and see that wherever you go, you're going to be, you know, friendly around people initially, and friends are made in the way that you are. You know, you can get another network in another place that's more fertile for you. You're not locked into your own network. If it's not working for you, you know, you can get another network. It is possible for fourth lines. It's amazing. I see fourth lines going out there chatting to this person, the next thing they know, they're being invited back for a cup of tea, or, you know, showing something because of their fascination with it. It happens. It happens much easier for you guys than the 1-3. But in terms of the 1-3, I would say, you know, my experience is if it's not working, don't keep doing it. If it's not working, something needs to change. And that's my invitation to you. What isn't working? Look at it. Drop it. You can drop it. You drop it once you've found something to jump onto. You know, you're not a 1-3. It's not like, you know, break the bond and that's it. But you can certainly look, realizing that it's not working. You can look and see, you know, what else is out there for you. And yes, you may have to be patient for a little while. But if that understanding is there, the opportunities will come. Okay, well, that was a lot of questions, wasn't it? I did my best in the time given. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back again very soon with something completely different. Bye for now.